It's the Newport This Week video podcast series. We're here pretty much every week for you at newportthisweek.com and on the Newport This Week YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to the Newport This Week YouTube channel. There's a lot of great stuff on there. They take you inside some of the civic meetings that, quite frankly, most people don't want to attend, even though a lot of the things that are happening there impact your life in a very significant way. And Lynn, I guess for anybody who doesn't know you, which seems hard to believe that person could be out there, but if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Good morning, Bill. Thank you. To everyone who's watching, my name is Lynne Tungett. I'm the publisher, owner, editor, and I sometimes say chief typist here at Newport This Week. I have literally walked in the office door here on Broadway for nearly 18 years. That's a long time. And my message today is regarding our upcoming election. You can see the piece of artwork above me that says vote. And I think I wanted to come on today to say that in those nearly 18 years, this has been the most difficult election cycle to cover. Nationally, tensions are high. State, not quite so bad, but locally, this has been a tough time for residents and voters. There's many important issues, and so it's hard to sift through all of that. We cover municipal issues for Middletown and Newport all year long, but these past few months, things with the short-term rentals and the local schools and school issues have really reached a peak. So Phil Cozzolino and other reporters have really delved into that for everyone. I will say that in addition to that, the past few weeks, the center spread of Newport This Week has featured local candidates. We had a center spread of just the Middletown Council candidates. Then the week following, we had profiles of all of the Newport Council candidates at large and for the wards. It's been unusual that this time around we actually have a race for two of the wards in Newport, Ward 1 and Ward 2. And Ward 3 is uncontested by Dave Carlin. So we've tried to put out a lot of information for our readers. The school committee in Newport has this week's center spread. And, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the candidates who have made themselves vulnerable, if you will, to put their name out there. It takes a lot of courage, actually. It's not only the candidate, but their families and just a lot of exposure for them to be vulnerable for.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I would like to say, though, too, is to thank all of the readers and followers out there of Newport This Week who have written in letters of endorsement, letters raising issues to candidates. It's been quite a process. We've had 22 letters these past few weeks. So there's a lot of juggling at the very last minute to get everybody's voice in so that other readers can see what people have to say and for the candidates to see what folks are saying.
Right.
So,
And that which you just highlighted in the former portion of your remarks is so important. I mean, we are in an era of expanding news deserts. There's no question about it. So the great work that Newport This Week has done and provided such an important civic and journalistic window into what's happening is so thankless and so essential. And frankly, not every community has even a modicum of what you've been able to provide. But further, having people in the community being able to have a place where they can write and express their opinion and pose questions is also rare and essential, and it's democracy in real time. And that's been great to read. It's been great to see. And I would agree. The presidential election that takes most of the air out of the room, and people sometimes look at it and they say, "I'm just going to check out." But there are some big bond questions statewide and locally, and the way that I don't know if everybody knows in Newport how the mayor is elected, so to speak, when it comes to the process. Do you mind explaining to those who might not be familiar with essentially how the mayor's chosen and why their council vote is so important to establishing who essentially is the council president slash mayor?
Yes, I'd be happy to, Bill. So in Newport, the mayoral selection is actually made by the other elected councilors after the election has been completed. So they choose an at-large candidate. The 3 ward councilors are not eligible to be the mayor under the current charter, but they all vote on who they wish to be chosen to represent the community as a mayor. We have a city manager who really runs a lot of the city business, of course, in conjunction with the council and the mayor. But it is important for people to go out and vote. If you're in Ward 3 and you're like, oh, well, Dave Carlin is going to be my counselor, your vote is still important. There are 9. Let me see, I have to recount. I should know this number. 5. Yes, there are 9 at-large candidates running in Newport, and on the ballot, you will be allowed to select 4. So it is important to get out there and vote, just like it
Absolutely.
says up there.
Yes. The bond questions there's 5 statewide questions which span. Look, they require, if you want to have a critical eye on them, they require some research. The first question is the Constitutional Convention. That's a big deal, and there's been a lot of back and forth on that. Some people think that it is a bad idea because it opens up the possibility of hundreds of potential amendments, everything from women's health care to just miscellaneous nuances of government, and also gives people a kind of an advantage in running for General Assembly races in the future. Those who are in favor of it say, well, this is the only way we're going to get an inspector general or something like that. So that's very consequential. The others are more issuances of monies for projects and investments in infrastructure, be it arts and culture or green. But locally, there's a $98 million local bond that is it's interesting and surprisingly controversial. And I wonder if you can sort of break down that one, because that's the one that I think for Newport residents, they're going to say, well, what's this school's bond all about?
Well, gosh, Bill, you're right. The $98.5 million bond is a big one. I think it would probably take me an hour
Right.
to break it all down, and I know we don't really quite have that amount of time. We have explained it in the paper before. It will be in the paper this week regarding the different projects that are going to be addressed by that bond. And many of the counselors in last week's paper, as I was indicating, they've also reiterated their priorities from that bond. So I think in the interest of time, I'm going to have to ask people to read. The other thing that Newport This Week has done is we did have a in-person forum with Middletown, Newport Council and School Committee. Those videos are online. I apologize that they're not as professionally produced, Bill, as what you do, but maybe in the future we can schedule it so you can do it for us. But that is another way for people to hear what candidates have to say. And also probably the past month, we've also run a series in the paper called How Elections Work. John Pantalone, Phil Cozzolino, and Zane Wolfang have written articles for that. And actually, Zane has written a pretty comprehensive article about the state constitution bond. So sorry to glaze things over, but we've written thousands and thousands of words about all of it.
And I think that's perfect because it really should be a reading exercise for these, unless, again, there's going to be people who walk in. We know there are people who walk into polls or into polling places and they don't know. And that's a chunk of the electorate. The goal should be always to have the most amount of informed voters as can be possible. And that's facilitated by the work that you've done. And I say that wholeheartedly because in fact, I gave it a shout out on the radio on Friday. Hey, this is how it's done. Go pick up that paper. It's free. Go to the website. It's a very, very important part of everyone's media diet in the Newport County region, especially when you talk about elections. Your last sort of thoughts as people, because look, there are definitely undecided voters, and they're not people necessarily who are sitting there going, I like Trump's policies, but I hate what he says, or I like Harris's policies, but I don't like the way that she was elevated. It's people who are just, I think anyway, and it's pollable, that people are just saying, I don't need to vote. I live in a blue state. We're going to go, whatever it is, whatever the undecided voter about going out and voting. What's your final push to somebody from the journalistic window and how important it is for people to actually participate in this experiment?
Well, this is the time to make your voice heard. Whatever that is, no one will know how you feel if you stay at home. So if you only want to go out and vote for one person or on one issue, just do that. Point in fact, behind you, Bill, is a picture I took last week of local polling location. One of our polling volunteers is there. I think for voters, think of all the people who have given their time and their energy to give Americans and give our residents this privilege to vote. And everyone should take advantage of that. So up there, vote.
Get out and vote. Couldn't agree more. Lynn, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Bill.